Great ranges fall, and the greater still will rise again. Jonathan Carley's fantastic turn as the young War Doctor began in June 2021 with Light the Flame. 6 box sets later, the War Doctor Begins range came to an end with Enemy Mine in December 2023. But thankfully, that wasn't the last we'd hear of Jonathan Carley, because he returned for Sontarans vs. Rutans, Dark Gallifrey, Susan's War, and the upcoming Once and Future finale, also by Tim Foley, Coda, the final act. But in August of 2024, we also got an exciting new range. The War Doctor Rises. In this series, the War Doctor is now fully formed, and he is ready to take the war to the Daleks and whoever else might want to go, which of course includes Morbius, Samuel West's brilliant turn on the classic 1970s villain, has come around again, this time in the depths of the Time War. And, I mean, it's 3 hours long, all by one writer. It's something Big Finish have been doing quite a lot recently, isn't it? And
yes,
when that one writer is Tim Foley, I feel like we expect something very special.
Well, we've kind of got precedent with River Song, Friend of a Family. 4 hours was the best release of 2023. And I guess we sort of had a prototype release of this in the form of He Who Fights Monsters, which is the best War Doctor Begins box set by Robert Valentine. And it's great to see that trend continue here. And I think that this box set, again, it's another standout by Tim Foley. I think that this box set is very much built off the foundations of Dark Gallifrey. Morbius, you don't need to really listen to it to enjoy it. There's a few little references, but, it's brushed away very quickly. But I think...
Yeah, there's a fun one in the vein of The Force Awakens, that line from Maz Kanata where she says, "A good story for another time." Just to hand wave something away. They sort of do the same thing with Dark Gallifrey here to say, they give it a bit of a name drop to give that connective tissue, but then also say, that's someone else's story to tell, which gave me a bit of a chuckle.
It's playing in the same sandbox, in the same sort of style, with characters having their own, different characters having their own little monologue at the start, which I think is a beautiful touch.
Really
which just really adds this sort of nice sort of dramatic weight to the opening of each chapter, if you like. But this doesn't really feel like it has chapters. It's just one big epic romp of the Doctor, who is suffering temporal toxemia, which just sounds brilliant, doesn't it?
Well, not to be on the receiving end of.
Not really.
He can't travel in time without his blood boiling, and it's pretty nasty. So he's in recovery from that on this planet called Lol, with Night Sister Kara tending to him. Meanwhile, Morbius has returned from a place called the Valley, and he is out for revenge. This is his Moby Dick story.
Yeah, and a lot of Wrath of Khan, I think, as well. I think this is probably the best Morbius story on Big Finish. I think that this story really allows the
I say best Morbius story, period.
Yeah,
Sorry, Rainer Morbius fans, but
I can see that. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. But I think
I'm committing.
Okay, all right. You can die on that hill, and be reassembled later.
Or my mind will live on.
I think with this, it really shows sort of the ego side, and that he shows that he's sort of the master tactician, that he's got his own army now. He defeats the Time Lords of ease, and there's this new challenger called the Daleks, and he thinks he can end the Daleks because he's very curious about them, and the idea of the Time Lords being at war excites him because he's like, this could be my big moment now.
Yeah. He's sort of a fish out of water at the same time. He comes from a much earlier period of Time Lord history.
Yes.
But also a more brutal one. These are, in the Time War, politicians forced into fighting. He came from a time where fighting was very much in the Time Lord's DNA, really.
That's how you rose up the ranks, really, I feel, for early Time Lords.
Yeah. And I love Morbius's arc throughout this story. I love that lots of characters have their own arcs throughout this. It's not just the Doctor's story with characters circling around him, coming in and out when it's convenient for the Doctor's arc. Lots of different characters have their own story going on throughout this. It's almost an ensemble piece,
Yes.
but at the same time, very much starring Jonathan Carley and Samuel West, brilliantly portraying the young War Doctor and Morbius.
I mean, when they clash, and it's electric stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Carley really holds his own there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what he did there with electric, actually.
Yeah. See.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. But yeah, it's the closest I think any Big Finish I have ever listened to has come to feeling like the audio equivalent of a movie.
Mm.
There's something brilliant about the way the story is told, the way it builds to its climax, the climax itself, how hard that hits. Yeah, this is something special, I feel. I really had a brilliant time with this, going on this journey with these characters. Like you said, the Doctor has temporal toxemia, so it's a comeback story for him in a way.
And he's got a
he-
mustache, which is a bit of a negative. That's not on the cover.
Yeah, he never shaves it. So not that we hear. So, inaccurate cover, 1 out of 10. That's a brilliant cover.
It's one of my favourites of the year.
Yeah. Is this release one of your favourites of the year?
I think it's up there. I think it's definitely in the top 10. Don't know where I'd put
Only
it on
10?
the top. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's. I don't know if it's in the top 5. I really don't know. I'll have to revisit it again, but I think it's a really solid release.
I mean, going out on a limb, it's my favourite release of the year.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely.
All
Not
right.
quite my favourite story of the year, but as a whole release, yeah, my favourite of the year. I really did have a good time with this one, and yeah, I just think it is truly something special. Tim Foley has exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were high going into it. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the mysterious third power, what role they play. There's lots of neat surprises in this. When the Daleks turned up, I got hyped, which is very unusual, especially for a Time War story.
I don't think they utilized that well, but they're okay with it.
I think, yeah, they're used sparingly, but I think effectively.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah, the focus is much more on Morbius, and yeah, he's this wonderfully layered character. You know, he is someone who has been beaten down his whole life. He's got that underdog story where he's someone who could easily have become a hero, and to many is seen as a hero. But there's that darker side to him as well that has led him down a different
some great
path.
dark moments.
Yeah.
With the survivors of this Time Lord garrison. He's let them run. And then just what he does after that, it's just wow. He's not hanging about his old Morbius.
No. He'll claim a lot of it's tactical, and perhaps it is, but there's also a joy he gets out of it as well. He likes to listen to them scream. Yeah, he is a twisted piece of work, and wonderfully written by Tim Foley, wonderfully performed by Samuel West. I think it's brilliant how you start off with quieter moments and then build to more intense ones as it goes on. You never quite know which way he's going to go. Yeah, and if you listen to Dark Gallifrey Morbius, but you weren't too keen on perhaps the lack of Morbius, particularly early on in that one, this builds off that. That momentum starts there. Then this release carries that on. It almost feels more like Morbius' story than the Doctor's at first. I think part 1 is very Morbius-centric, really.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. I think there is that wonderful duology there with this and Dark Gallifrey Morbius. But at the same time, I wouldn't be afraid to get this on its own. It does work in its own right as well. But if you listen to Dark Gallifrey Morbius beforehand, or you have listened to it before, you'll notice there is a rising tension with Morbius's character as it goes on, which, yeah, I think is rather brilliant. I can't praise this release enough.
I mean, you've said it's your favorite release of the year. I think
Yeah,
that's high praise, and the amount of Big Finish we listened to in a year, that says it all, really.
Yeah, how much we listen to in a month.
Exactly. Even with website issues or not, we still get it done.
Yeah, definitely. What would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10.
I think I'd go 9.5.
Oh, you're not quite committing to a 10 then?
Nah, I think
Okay.
sometimes you got to reserve the 10s for the best of all time, not just the best of a year.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think it is a brilliant story. And like I say, it's just feels like the closest they've come to what would be an audio movie, I suppose, if such a thing.
I guess it's
real.
2024's summer blockbuster audio then.
Yeah, I suppose so. But it's more of a artistic, I suppose, blockbuster than your regular popcorn flick.
Yeah. I guess was it your A24 film, is it, or something like that?
Maybe more your Oppenheimer than your Barbie, I guess. I don't know. But then again,
yeah.
Barbie's got. Sorry, I'm not slagging off Barbie.
It's such an empowering film, Barbie. I like Barbie. It's a good film.
Also like Oppenheimer. It is a writer's vision brought forth brilliantly by some wonderful actors, some great sound design, edited tightly and in a way that it all just comes together wonderfully. Yeah, I think the 3-hour format really works because, like a film, it's got a 3-act structure. Yeah, and I think it gets to play about that a bit, like you say, with a different monologue at the start of each episode to give you insight into these different characters. Some of them that could just have been throwaway characters like Judd. Judd didn't need the depth that this story gave him, but it's all the better for the fact that
what a great journey they go on as well.
Lots of characters have their secrets that come out as the story goes along. Yeah, quite a few twists and turns in there. Chef's kiss.
And that's it. Let us know your thoughts on Morbius the Mighty. Was it a mighty release, or did it fall flat on its face? Please put that in the comments. And we'll see you next time for more Big Finish related content in the near future.
No more. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, we've still got plenty more to do. We've got to finish the year yet.
I mean, we've got Unknown Soldiers, the next War Doctor Rises release at the very least. Which, yeah, I'm on a young War Doctor high.
Yeah. Still got a few more releases left then.
Thank you all for watching.
Bye bye.